tech bros are lining up to curry favor with Trump, and TikTok on the way to being restored.
Is that really a good thing?
Let's talk about it, y'all.
Middle America.
And you ain't black.
I don't know what I said.
The first time ever any...
What are you people?
We're Americans. We are Americans indeed. My name is Vincent.
And I'm Soraya.
And this is Middle America with Vin. And sorry, we're not left wing.
We're not right wing.
We're just
right.
Right. All right, dear listeners. As you guys have heard, I'm sure, there has been sort of a people are calling it a takeover, a reckoning. I don't know what you call it. I don't know what anybody else calls it. But social media and its owners as well as its participants are caught up in this web of lies and deceit, dear listener. First thing we want to show you guys is what happens when you try to go to TikTok. Okay.
Yep.
So
here it is.
Here you go.
We took this screenshot ourselves.
This is authentic. What is it?
Yep.
The landing.
Authentic from Sori's phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. It's coming from Vinny's computer.
Here we go. So here's what happens when you log into TikTok. Sorry, TikTok isn't available right now. A law banning TikTok has been enacted in the U.S. Unfortunately, that means you can't use TikTok for now. For now. However, we are fortunate that President Trump has indicated that he will work with us on a solution to reinstate TikTok once he takes office. Please stay tuned, end quote.
Look at that.
Now, the real belly aching about TikTok began during the protests relative to the genocide that the Israelis tried to perpetrate against the Palestinians. Mm-hmm. And so initially that became a thing because, you know, young people are on are on TikTok. It's a really, really, that demographic dominates TikTok. Yeah. And everybody knows if you influence the youth, you have the future. And so when all these people decided for us that we should be able to have TikTok, initially it was about the, quote, anti-Semitism that was being spread. I forgot who was there, but he said something to the effect of, we have a TikTok problem or things like that. Yeah, I would just advise the Israelis. It appears to me, sir, that those that ship has already sailed. I don't think you're going to accomplish anything with that maneuver. Gordon Power says, why does Trump threaten Canada? What does Canada have that Trump wants? I'm Canadian in Canada and I'm scared. Well, what happens is our country gives your guys a lot of leeway and a lot of money. And you guys were supposed to pay us back years ago. And you've told us that you guys aren't going to really pay us back until 2032, I believe it was. You guys need to be at 2% GDP or something to pay for. So we've been looking the other way with that. On top of that, your former, I don't know what you guys call him, Premier, MP, I don't know what you call him, no disrespect. But your former leader, Mr. What's his face? Trudeau 2 times. I call him Trudeau, Jussie 2 times. Your friend Justin Trudeau. I don't got no quarrel with you, my brother. But your man Justin Trudeau showed up twice in blackface. So I always call him Jussie 2 times. But yeah, your man Trudeau went down to Mar-a-Lago because they know they owe us that money. They know that they've been skimping on it. They know we've been looking the other way. On top of that, there have been your border, which is also our border, gets penetrated, and then those people go from Canada to the U.S. with drugs and all the rest of it. And so Trump simply said, you guys give us our money or you're not getting any more protection from NATO. And I think that that's a good thing. America's in a situation right now where, we've got the best economy in the world, but normal people are not reaping the benefits of said economy. And so because of that, this is not the time for us to be looking the other way with countries that are taking advantage of us. That's the narrative.
I don't understand. It's never been like that. Like you can't benefit off the spoils of the kingdom but not be part of it. Like we were saying, like just become the 50, whatever state.
51st state.
Yeah.
Be like Puerto Rico and Guam.
I understand why they would not want to do that or why that would be offensive to them, but like that's the way of things. I don't even understand why we've been running it the way that we have.
If Trump
Just
takes
passing out money all over the place and not expecting people to pay it back. It's weird.
If Trump takes over, I'm moving to the UK. I'm genuinely scared. Yeah, Gordon, I think that you're watching too much state-run TV, bro. Like, what do you think is going to happen to you if Donald Trump takes office? Mm-hmm. And he is taking over. He's getting sworn in. He's getting sworn in on Monday. I understand that you're genuinely afraid, but I'm asking, what are you afraid of? What has Trump done to your country that would initiate any sort of fear? Like, what has he done?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Particularly to Canada. They banned all ByteDance apps, Marvel, Snap, and other games, CapCut, which is a video photo editing, Lemonade, and then the one with TikTok, also gone. Yeah, so they banned a lot of this stuff, and the TikTokians just told us that, by the way, we are on Red Note. we are on Red Note.
We've made our way over there.
I think we've got 80 subs on Red Note already, so we're pretty happy about that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, like I understand. To be honest with you, I don't understand what you're afraid of. We've already had 4 years of Trump. I don't think he destroyed your country, so I'm not exactly sure where the anxiety is coming from, other than just your media. But if you actually look at the things that Trump has done, he hasn't done any harm to your country. So where is that coming from? Mm-hmm. But listen, if you want to keep talking, I'll keep talking.
Yeah, because maybe there's something we don't realize because we're over here, so.
Very possible, although I have been watching a lot of Canadian media. Mm-hmm. And there is a lot of alarmism, but there's no real substance to any of the alarmism. It's like, it's not like there's a country that's going to go after Canada if we're not supporting them in NATO anymore. It's not like Putin's waiting in the wings or something for Canada to you know?
Yeah.
But I do believe that if you're taking all this money from us, then yeah, you either pay up or
that's the thing. I mean,
we go our separate ways, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with people saying, hey, it is what it is. But, I mean, folks got to pay up, man. You know what I'm saying? That's how it goes. Okay. While we're doing that, I want to go over, there's this group called the Bulwark Podcast, and I really enjoy listening to that podcast because I'm a sinful person. These people, if you're big into Schadenfreude or like watching these self-righteous people be completely and utterly clueless about what's going on, then you will also enjoy the Bulwark Podcast. The Bulwark Podcast the main actors are two gay dudes and a lesbian, and all of them were Republicans who then got never Trumped in 2016. So these guys were Republicans, lifelong Republicans.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then they got never Trumped in 2016. Really? And then after that, they've been like completely Democratic. It's weird because like you can't even find any like right position that they have anymore. Like they're pro-abortion, they're pro everything. It's like, okay, so in what sense were you a Republican? And my suspicion is the money stuff. Because all of these guys are well-to-do
because they're also the
Manhattanites
that were saying the supposed egg, whatever it was, where they didn't believe the egg prices.
Yeah, they were saying that the economy was annoying, is what they were saying. Mm-hmm. It's annoying, not in absolute free fall.
I mean, anyway. I've been seeing on my mom forums where they're like, what am I going to do? Like, how can I make a bread without using eggs? Like, people are asking all these questions. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah, but they're telling us that it's annoying. So here goes the Bulwark guys. This is our first ever Bulwark commentary. I'm actually going to send them an email and say, man, you guys are hilarious. All right, here we go. Let's start with Surrender Monkey. Cowardly Zuck bends the knee to Trump. This to me, this whole bend the knee thing, it seems to me that that these people got together and they said, in order to stymie Trump's influence, we're going to have to use, schoolyard terms. And so in the schoolyard, if you want to have a fight, you want to see somebody fight, you're like, oh, I can't believe he said that about you. You're going to let him say that about you. Oh, my God. So now what's happening is anytime anybody does anything remotely pro-Trump, oh, you're bending the knee to Trump. You're not really, you're a bitch, blah, 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 blah. It's such a childish game, but this is what these people do. So anyway, here we go. Surrender Monkey, Cowardly Zuck bends the knee to Trump. Let's check it out right now. 10:36.
So Mark Zuckerberg just did it. He just bent the knee. You may recall that Mark Zuckerberg went down to Mar-a-Lago to break bread with Donald Trump. And coming out of that, we've had a series of announcements now over the last 24 hours showing how fully and completely Zuckerberg is bending the knee. First off, we got word last night that Dana White, the guy who runs UFC, has been added to the Meta board. Why Dana White? Because
I have no idea why Dana White would be on the board of Facebook. It's obvious that Dana White knows how to run large systems. It's obvious that he has got great business acumen.
Yeah.
But
that
what
is,
that has
yeah.
to do with Facebook
Yeah.
and moderation, I have no idea. Now, keep in mind, Dana White suspended Joe Rogan for comments that he made about 10 years ago about trans athletes in MMA.
Oh, wow.
He
really?
suspended him. He made him miss a UFC show or whatever.
Oh, wow.
So this is one of the things that these people don't understand. It's like, you had all these people. Mm-hmm. You had Dana White, you had Rogan, you had all these people. And your guys' extremism drove them away.
Yeah.
And after you've done it, instead of saying, how did we drive these people away? They
like,
say,
how
do we create a Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. No, not the knee. Yes, the knee. He bent the knee. And look at this dude's face. Look at his face. Look at his face. Mm-hmm. This guy's the most miserable guy in their podcast, by the way. This guy, JVL. We continue.
he knows a lot about punching and punching. And I guess look, the answer is, of course, the cover they will give is that Dana White and Zuckerberg know each other since Zuckerberg is a real MMA head now.
Yeah, Zuck is a real MMA dude. Like him and Elon were actually going to strap up and fight. Yeah, and it was going like back and forth. And Zuck was like making phone calls like, yo, can we make this happen? Because like he's been working.
Yeah.
And the other thing about Zuck, he's like what, 6'1", 6'2"? Like he can get busy. I don't believe in Elon.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't believe in Elon, but I believe my money would be on Zuck.
Not after I saw Kanye's picture.
Yeah, Zuck is with it. Zuck is with it, boy.
And that they have a lot of mutual respect and blah, 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 blah.
They do.
Yeah, but of course, this is all about Trump, Dana White.
Now, look. I don't know how to say this. I do not expect a guy like this to understand the camaraderie that comes from the Hurt Game.
Yeah.
Like, I'm being stereotypical, whatever,
Right.
but I'm looking at dude, I'm like, okay, this guy doesn't get it.
Yeah, there's probably certain experiences, yeah.
He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand jujitsu. Jiu-jitsu is playing, it's full contact chess. That's what jiu-jitsu is. It's full contact chess. You have to be psychologically present for every second. You've seen like me go through some stuff with the boys, and then like when we watch the video, it's like, see, this happened. It is an incredibly, it's one of the best experiences of it's what I enjoy the most. But it's not for the sake of the violence. I just like the testing. Your body is being tested to the max. What are you going to do when you start running out of breath? And then doing all the calculations that you have to do in order to win is incredible. But if you are unschooled in jiu-jitsu or just the fight game in general, all you see is people hitting each other in the head. So I don't expect this guy to understand the kind of camaraderie that happens when you're rolling with one of your boys. Like I completely understand where he's coming from.
Is fully on board with Trump. You will remember that he spoke at the Republican National Convention endorsing Trump. This is all just pulling somebody who is actually on the inner circle of Trump under the tent of Facebook and at the highest levels of it, so that Trump will have a voice at the highest levels of Meta's governance. Then this morning, we had Joel Kaplan, who is the new Meta head of lobbying in D.C., going on to Fox News to announce that they are doing away with their fact-checking. They ain't going to do fact-checking no more. They're going to move to community notes.
By the way, I am a community.
Yes.
I'm a community
Yes.
notes judge. They just sent me something and said, "Hey, your commentary on the community
Yep.
notes." So I'm one of the guys.
We value your opinion.
I'm one of the
Yep.
guys that determines whether or not that article can be published.
I mean, that tells me that they, they're
That
drawn
tells me
from the
that
right
we,
pool.
all the media. Yes. YouTube also sends me some stuff that I can't tell you guys about. Life changes when the oxygen is gone. Yup. And look, I've had friends that, like, not everybody can do it. I've had friends and they couldn't even get past like the basic breathing that's necessary to win. And the other thing is like keeping the mind calm. Mm-hmm. Somebody's got like a Kimura, like a half Kimura on you. Mm-hmm. Like you're 20 seconds away from tapping, but if he makes one mistake with his weight and you feel that weight shift, you can sprawl out of there. And so it's like, if you don't get it, like, I understand why he's like so clueless about this. I completely get it. I understand. I'm not mad at him. I'm being serious.
Like another one of our great social platforms, Twitter/X does. Because God knows, when we think about successful content moderation, we all hold up Elon Musk as the shining beacon.
This is one of the things that I think that people on this side don't understand. People don't like content moderation, bro. Mm-hmm. We're Americans. We were told that we have free speech and all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. So when you have a platform that is saying you can say what you want, but now it's being quote unquote moderated, which really means anything that is hostile to the DNC or anything that's hostile to Biden's stated goals is censored. I don't know if you guys remember this. During year one of Putin's invasion, where they said you couldn't say anything positive about Russia, but you could say negative. You could say negative things about Russia. Mm-hmm. You could talk about them being killed, blown up, all that. You were allowed to do that. But if you said anything about that, then they would wipe you out. Mm-hmm. I have a political channel on Facebook. It's called Middle America with Vin and Sori, and we did a test on this. Yep. 2 of our guys got suspended for sharing about the laptop, which was true. Mm-hmm. And then I had somebody share, and this guy was a ubiquitous poster, so it's not like the fact checkers missed it. I also had them share the whole Trump made a deal with the tally against American troops in Afghanistan, which was an actual lie, but a lie that could have actually fomented more war, because you had Democratic senators saying, we need to put some Russian body bags in Afghanistan. So as Trump is having a discussion about pulling out of out of Afghanistan with the tally, on comes this ridiculous, the tally is colluding with Russians to kill Americans. Ridiculous. The tally denied it. Russians denied it. There was no proof for it. So I said, okay, by the time it got debunked, obviously. I told this guy, now post it. Mm-hmm. Because that's clearly unfactual, mm-hmm. clearly wrong. Nothing happened. He was able to post that nonsense, no problem. Yes, yeah. But the Hunter Biden laptop story, that got suppressed. Mm-hmm.
Penalized. Wasn't that penalized too?
Oh, yeah. And I could show you, we've got another channel that has about 250,000 subs, right? We had an issue with them, blah, blah, blah. We got reinstated. They sent us all this stuff about and they said, please note, if you're still in Russia, you're not going to be able to be monetized. So to this moment, a Russian YouTuber still can't get monetization because they're from Russia.
Wow.
So this whole fact-checking and moderation, nope, it was thought control. It was speech control and thought control. Facts. We continue.
All of us.
We're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X, starting in the US.
So somebody can write a note, and then the way it works is different people on the platform can sort of vote on that note. And if you get people who usually disagree, who all say, yeah, that sounds right, then that note gets put on the post and people see.
Yep. And it takes a while for them to, because I see, they'll say, you ranked it this was a percentage, blah, 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 blah. So the more you, the quicker you are at rating something, and then the more consensus operates with you, the higher your score goes for you to be a fact checker. So there's an algorithm there that makes a lot of sense. Trump is a real life Lex Luthor. I don't believe so. I don't believe Trump is a real life Lex Luthor. The reason I don't believe that is because somebody tried to kill this man. And I don't know if you know anything about Lex Luthor, but if anybody tried to kill that man, you, your family, your dog, everybody's dying. I think that Gordon, you're concerned about Trump, but you're not concerned about the actual Trump. You're concerned about the image that your media has given you about Trump. And I have no judgments for you with that, but I'm a person who lives in this country. He's not Lex Luthor, and he's not a fascist. We continue.
And while he was there, I want to get this quote right. On Fox, Joel Kaplan said, there is a real opportunity here with President Trump coming into office with his commitment to free expression for us to get back to those values.
There's a real opportunity here with President Trump coming into office with his commitment to free expression for us to get back to those values.
Because Donald Trump is the example of a commitment to free expression in this country. Are you fucking kidding me? Anyway, all of this is obviously ridiculously transparent, and it reminds me a little bit of.
What are you talking about?
I don't know why he's saying that.
I don't know if any of these big people are quote unquote champions for free speech, but it's obvious to me that there is one side that believes that the unwashed masses shouldn't even be able to share information, and another side that says, I mean, you guys are crazy, but whatever. I have no idea what these people are talking about when they say stuff like that. What are you referring to? This is like, oh, the orange man is a fascist. I'm like, you know what? I need you to go into a DeLorean.
Yeah.
Into, let's say, 1939 Germany. Go down the street and say Hitler has a funny mustache. And make a bunch of memes about Hitler's mustache and see how long you last over there in the... I mean, can we stop with this? Stop with the hyperbole. Please. We got innocent people starting to believe this nonsense. I got a friend in Canada, he's scared to death right now because of you guys' craziness. Please stop. Just tell the people the truth.
Yeah.
We continue.
As we've seen the Washington Post unravel over the last couple of weeks, there was a story that came out of that where the Post's new MAGA-friendly publisher asked one of the top editors there, you know, what could we do to really go and attract more Trump voters to read the Post? And this editor, supposedly, answered, I don't know, lie to them?
Oh, man. That's right. Because all them Trump supporters, they're just dumb. They can't tell the difference between a lie and the truth. Blah, blah, blah. You know, listen, I've never been in a situation where I feel the need to defend white people.
But in this case,
anybody that knows me knows that I'm not gonna like carry water for like, I don't care, like, but we have to look at this now. We have to look at this. So the way to appeal to Trump supporters is to lie to them, because more than half the country, he won the popular vote. They just believe lies. They're just dumb. They just believe lies. Okay. All right, because that's right. It's a cult. Blah 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 blah. So I want to check something out real quick for you guys, because this is what we're told about Trump and his followers. Trump is the cult leader, and the people that support Trump, they're in a cult. Yep. They can't think for themselves. Yep. They just follow blindly with whatever the man says. This is what we're told. And so when the guy asked, how do we appeal to Trump supporters, he said, I don't know. I mean, lie? Because Trump supporters, either they're so dumb that they don't know what the truth is, or they're just as horrible as Trump is and they just want lies. Okay, because they're in a cult. Here we go. Here's Donald Trump in Alabama. This is Alabama, dear listener. These are the people. These are the cultists.
And you know what? I believe totally in your freedoms. I do. You got to do what you have to do. But I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine. If it doesn't work, you'll be the first to know. Okay? I'll call up Alabama and say, hey, you know what? But it is working. But you do have your freedoms. You have to maintain that.
So this was a funny thing, because all through COVID, the breaking points dudes were making, well, both of them. The breaking points folks were saying, these MAGA people are so crazy, they're even booing Trump. Mm-hmm. That's the way he said, oh, it's okay. They booed him. Mm-hmm. They did that multiple times.
Yep.
So go ahead with they're in a cult. They just blindly follow him. Okay, feel how you want to feel. But there's a reason that through this entire election, Trump did not mention Operation Warp Speed one time. Operation Warp Speed was what he used to get the vaccines fast-tracked and all the rest of it. He didn't mention that one time.
Why?
Because it wasn't popular with his base. Because the vaccine is not popular with his base. So he had to just stop and not talk about it. Mm-hmm. But let's just continue to believe that these down-home Southern dummies, they got 4 teeth and shit, like, they don't know what they're doing. They just blindly follow Trump. I'm sorry, that's just not true. It's just not true. Mm-hmm. They just don't blindly follow you anymore, and I think that's the problem.
Exactly.
I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
As Ragin Ryu points out, both sides lie often. I agree. The problem with that party is that they pretend as if there's only one person who lies explicitly to the American people, and that's Trump. As if they haven't been lying to us for the past 50, 60, 70 years. That's my problem. We continue.
Exactly.
And that's the narrative. It's like Trump is like a different kind of liar, and the people that follow him are a different kind of stupid. So now we need Big Daddy government to come in and moderate our speech for us. And you don't understand why people educated in the American system would have a problem with that?
And replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the U.S.
So,
I mean, isn't that democracy? Instead of a bunch of elites saying, hey, this is what the facts are, you get a bunch of Americans together and they can... Isn't that democracy?
Yeah.
See, all these people love democracy until you do it in a way they don't like. Mm-hmm. He's democratizing fact-checking. I think that's great. We continue.
somebody can write a note, and then the way it works is different people on the platform can sort of vote on that note. And if you get people who usually disagree, who all say, yeah, that sounds right, then that note gets put on the post and people see it.
And while he was there, I want to get this quote right, on Fox, Joel Kaplan said, there is a real opportunity here with President Trump coming into office with his commitment to free expression for us to get back to those values.
There's a real opportunity here with President Trump coming into office with his commitment to free expression for us to get back to those values.
Because Donald Trump is the example of a commitment to free expression in this country. Are you forking kidding me? Anyway, all of this is obviously ridiculously transparent. And it reminds me a little bit of, as we've seen the Washington Post unravel over the last couple of weeks, there was a story that came out of that where the Post's new MAGA-friendly publisher asked one of the top editors there, what could we do to really go and attract more Trump voters to read the Post? And this editor, supposedly, answered, I don't know, lie to them? Because that's about it, right? If you want to attract Trump voters, you need to sound like Fox.
There's that voice again.
Or
They always
OAN,
use it. So condescending.
Newsmax.
That's
Or
the thing.
Breitbart.
I don't think people like this are ever going to win again because they can't keep their disdain for the American people
It's unbelievable.
under wraps. These people really, 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 truly believe that they're better than the rest of
Yeah.
us. It is absolutely insane.
Yeah. Listen to that tone. They always go to that tone.
The tone is insane.
Yep.
In my dream world, Trump has a day of truth where they declassify JFK, 9/11, COVID, UAP, Epstein. Just tell the people the truth. Yeah. That's why I'm very skeptical about that man dying a natural death. I'm not going to lie to you.
I agree.
Even now, I'm very, very skeptical about Trump dying a natural death.
Yeah.
These people hate him. Mm-hmm. There is some club, and he's not a part of it.
He's not in it.
He really isn't. Is that George Carlin thing where it's like there's a club and there's a party and you're not invited? Like
yeah.
Clear. Look, Barack Hussein Obama was the first black president, the first black presidential candidate that had a real shot of winning. They never tried to assassinate him 3 or 4 times.
Exactly.
You don't think folks were motivated to assassinate that man? What happened to why the president? Why Mr. Trump? What has he done? What has he done? It's insane. We continue.
And these are places with, you will recall, Fox just had to pay, what, $800 million to settle a defamation case? This is not, these media companies are not good examples.
Okay, and ABC or George Stephanopoulos or whatever had to pay Trump $2 or $3 million. Do we need to go down the line with this? Okay, Iraq War, weapons of mass destruction. That was mainstream media. That was legacy media. The troop surge. That was also manufactured in consent by legacy media. All the crazy shit about COVID, that was manufactured consent relative to legacy media. All of these things for the last 10 to 15 years. Bernie Sanders having a bunch of brown shirts. Your folks at MSNBC were saying that Jewish Bernie Sanders had a contingent of fascist Nazis that were going to come and take Chris away. Y'all don't remember that? This guy is insane. If a person on YouTube or Facebook says something, it's like, whoa, that was crazy. Your institution sent us to a fucking war. What in the world?
And then finally,
do you think that's why they moved the ceremony indoors, a threat to his safety? Almost certainly. Almost certainly.
Yeah.
It is unwise for him to be out in public in that kind of a situation.
100%.
There's just way too many. And what that tells me is he doesn't trust the Secret Service. That's what that tells me.
And he shouldn't, based off of what happened the last time.
Yeah. Him going indoors means that he doesn't trust the Secret Service. Yep. Now, why should he?
Right, exactly.
We continue.
The final thing on this is Mark Zuckerberg took to Threads to explain and globalize this context and talk about how really, I mean, it's just the people on the platform have been clamoring for, to get back to their roots. Your roots is rating girls as hot or not. Anyway, leave that in.
That's how Facebook started. It was just, that's why it's called Facebook. It's like which girls are hot at school, which ones aren't.
Really?
And then they would put their faces up there, and then you'd rate them. That's how it started. And then, he got the vision for something bigger.
Oh, wow.
But the problem with people like Zuckerberg and the rest is that you don't know what they really believe. And that's true of everybody. The people make assumptions about me all the time. They don't know what I really believe.
Oh, yeah,
but I allow those misconceptions to happen because I have, there's reasons behind it. Mm-hmm. So, like, this guy is like, it's insane. Like, the resentment that he has for regular people is so crazy.
It's unbelievable.
It's freezing in DC. I agree. It is. It's a vortex type of thing, but there's contingencies for that stuff. It's just there are way too many moving parts in an outdoor protection scenario that you can fix in an indoor scenario.
Yeah.
So, especially if you're afraid of people on your team doing the hit. Mm-hmm. This way, you can have a smaller team, and the smaller team can be hand selected by him, and etc. And until he's like officially the boss of the Secret Service, he's not. I assume that the director and a couple of those other guys are going to get reassigned, as they say in the industry. But yeah, he's got to be smart. He's got to be smart.
What'd you say? You've been promoted to customer.
Yeah. That's what he used to say. He got promoted to customer. Art Perez. We continue.
And said that in addition to everything else, they're going to move their fact-checking, content moderation, community stuff. They're going to move that stuff physically out of California and down to Texas. Get it? Get it, guys?
He said this will ensure. He said, we're moving into Texas. This will help remove the concern that biased employees are overly censoring content. Well, yeah, the people who are saying that, but what if
you're going to go to where another bias is?
Well, I don't know. I got to tell you, from what I have observed, people on that side of the aisle, how do I say this without offending people? They're quicker to debate you and argue with you than to try to stop you from talking.
Okay.
There's one side that says, oh, what you're saying is hurtful. What you're saying is whatever. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be able to say it. Mm-hmm. There's another side that says, what you say is stupid. I'm going to insult you and call you a name, which is not good either. But they're not the same thing.
Yeah.
But the idea that you could set up shop in Texas and have unbiased fact checkers is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. They're in Texas. So somebody posts something about a gun, for example, or about a gun law. Like, the person in Texas is probably going to be more apt to either support or not support based on how you say it. So that whole line about, this will help the concern. Well, Texas is a tax-free state. So I don't know if there's some sort of, financial code where if he puts X amount of employees in Texas, he can claim that their headquarters is in Texas. Mm-hmm. There's some of that going on. But, and I agree too, Texas is not monolithic. I mean, if you go to, Apple's got a headquarters in Texas and they're extremely progressive and all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. So that's also
an
true.
Interesting point. Yeah.
That's also true. Although I would assume, because it appears to me that Zuckerberg is really on the right now. He's a right winger. Mm-hmm. So the hiring practices, because if you think about it, if you're signing up to be a Facebook moderator, that means you have a Facebook account. Mm-hmm. So the hiring manager is just going to scroll through your Facebook account and he'll know what you are. Yep. So I'll give that to the left here, that moving it to Texas is moving it to the right. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in the concept of an unbiased judge of anything. I always say, of course I'm biased, but I could be converted. Mm-hmm. Right? None of us are neutral zeros on any topic. Yeah. But we can be converted. Mm-hmm. We continue.
California and down to Texas. Get it? Get it, guys? Please be nice to us. Please don't hurt Meta. Please don't make us sell WhatsApp and break up the company. Please don't do antitrust on us.
Yeah, he's dealing with an antitrust case pretty soon here. Antitrust means you're too big, and you've killed all competition. So you need to break up the company so you don't have that much power.
Mm-hmm. Too much of a monopoly.
This is almost certainly going to knock it out. And the fact of the matter is, Facebook does not have a monopoly. Well, they don't, and they're not even the most. I think Google, if anybody has a monopoly, it would be Google. Mm-hmm. But Google is still very, very much entrenched to the left, as anybody who does any of these videos and stuff will know. The people that are censoring folks and shadow banning folks and all the rest of it, that's in Google. That's the real thing. If Trump converts one of these Google people, then I'll say we're in trouble. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. We continue.
We'll put the people who are in charge of content moderation down in Texas, where the workforce is famously friendly to, like, abortion rights and trans rights and all sorts of stuff like that. We'll do that. And I don't know, like maybe we'll share staff with Twitter or something. I don't know.
That's what happens when you guys clearly destroyed the concept of free speech during the 2020 elections. You guys lied. You said that the Hunter Biden laptop story was a lie, and then when regular American citizens tried to share it, you suspended their accounts. You even went into people's private messages and suspended them because you knew that if the American people thought that the laptop was real, it would have been the end of Biden. And so you, in concert with 50 members of the, quote, intelligence community, conspired together to quell speech. And that's the reason why everybody's like, man, fuck you guys and all of your content moderation, because that's not what it's about. And that's the reason all of us know that you guys are trying to train us to hate Elon Musk now, because we could say more things than we did before. Notice I didn't say that Twitter was a free speech environment, because anytime you have a billionaire in control of something, he's going to be very sensitive. You do not become a billionaire by not being sensitive. But anyway,
keep telling us it's the right that's ruining democracy.
Yeah. It's amazing how stupid these people think we are.
Every single turn.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I do think that Zuck is a right-wing guy, though. I really do. Yep. You know, Trump made some offhand comment about, oh, he should be arrested, blah, blah, blah. And they're trying to say that that's the reason he's not doing this. Ridiculous. Trump has threatened to arrest everybody. He threatened to arrest Hillary. Did it look like Hillary was out there kowtowing to Trump? Like, these people just cannot believe that people genuinely understand their position and reject it. They can't process that. If you reject their ideology, it's because you're a grifter or whatever. It can't be that you just weighed the topics and you're like, I don't like these guys.
Yeah.
Nope. You're just you're just dumb.
Yep.
You gotta be smart like this guy. Allahu Akbar.
Right.
Please be nice to us. I want to say a couple things here because it's insane. The first of which is Mark Zuckerberg hates Elon Musk so much, and the feeling is mutual, that you may recall that Elon Musk was like chasing Zuckerberg around for several months a couple of years ago, just challenging him to a fight. He wanted to physically fight Mark Zuckerberg and get back.
Yeah, he would have lost, though.
Yeah.
He would have lost. Thug was working directly in line with those in power. Now he's working in line with the people coming into power. Sorry, I don't see the supposed shift. Yeah, that's a good line. That's a very, very good line. I agree. But what I'm saying is I can see a world where he never wanted to do that content moderation stuff, but he's addicted to money, and so when the Dems got in power, he carried water for them, and now Trump's in power, he's carrying water for him. But he didn't do these dramatic shifts in 2020. He didn't move stuff over. He just said, "Look, here's a policy, blah, bang." I mean, he's doing a lot of real, and I think a lot of it is his own internal issues. Like if you're out there in California, and you've got that culture, like you're gonna get a lot of emails from these people.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like it's I think there's a lot of practicality to it. I just think you cannot be around that environment with Dana White and all these guys and be a liberal. It's just not going to happen. And it's not because they'll kick you out of their club. It's because it's like us, right? Like if you go to the other channel, you're going to hear about Jesus because that's just who we are as people. And if you can't deal with it, they're just going to leave. It's that kind of an environment. Like, you didn't see Zuckerberg hanging out with Biden or any of Biden's surrogates or anything like that, getting in with them and having a relationship, eating with them and fighting with them. Like, I genuinely believe that he is. And look, if you make over a certain amount of money, you're going to default to conservatism anyway because of the whole tax break situation. But like everybody's speculating on about whether this is genuine from Zuckerberg. I personally believe that he's genuinely a right winger, but that doesn't mean that other people are wrong about that. Mm-hmm. The shift obviously has self-interest and business interests in it. Mm-hmm. Going to Texas, like I said, you could maybe do something with the tax code, the tax-free state. That's one of the reasons we moved to Florida. Rich dad, poor dad, buy the book. And then there's a lot of other factors that go into it. I agree.
Over and over. There was even a story about Elon Musk like driving up to one of Zuckerberg's houses in the middle of the night looking to see if he wanted to step into the cage and duke it out. Who knows if that is apocryphal or not? I don't know. This is the guy, Elon Musk, who is Trump's shadow president. And Zuckerberg is just knuckling under, even with this guy. It's astonishing. But I want to.
When has Zuckerberg ever came out as a man of true conviction? But again, this is what happens. Like, and Anna Kasparian was really guilty of this. Anytime somebody switched from left to right, you're a grifter, you're doing this for money, and like everybody took that pattern because these are religious people. See, that's what happens with religious people, especially with their children. When their children start straying away from the faith and all that shit, they get all crazy because their kid no longer embracing the faith makes you doubt your own faith. And so you're really acting like you're trying to do this for your kid, like you're freaking out for your kid, when in reality, it's you. You're freaking out about yourself. Mm-hmm. And did I believe the wrong thing and all the rest of it? I can always tell when a parent is not really confirmed in their faith. Because if you really believed in that stuff, then you would believe that God loves your kid more than you, right? Mm-hmm. So God, I'm not more worried about my kid than God is. Yep. So I'm not going to freak out. Right? These people, anytime somebody leaves the range or anytime somebody changes their opinion, they can never say, I wonder what influenced this change of opinion. What happened? Like with Anna Kasparian, she gave multiple reasons as to why she changed her opinion, all of which I believed were valid. But what do the leftists say? You're a grifter, You're doing this for money, blah, 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 blah. You know how much money TYT has lost because of Anna Kasparian?
I'm sure quite a bit.
I mean, good night. Mm-hmm. The logic here is so crazy to me. God, they're afraid of anybody changing their minds on these major topics because then they would have to contend with the fact that maybe, just maybe, you were actually on the wrong side of history. Maybe, just maybe, you've been judging all these Trump supporters and their 3 teeth and the straw in the hat and all the rest of it. You've been judging them and mocking them, and yet their guy got a peace deal done before he was even sworn in. And maybe it's you who's been the authoritarian this entire time. See, they don't want to deal with it. Just like religious parents.
I know.
Religious parents don't want to deal with the fact that they're insecure about their own faith. Mm-hmm. And so when their kid is doing it, they're like, oh my God, this is making me question anything. 2 or 3 of the kids told me they didn't believe in God. They didn't whatever. And I just kept on playing Fortnite. I didn't care. I was fine. I was completely fine because I was like, well, okay. God wants you, he's going to get you. I don't care about that. Mm-hmm. Let's just keep playing Fortnite and watch that corner.
Yeah, you were completely calm. Boy, I'm so glad you were because I was a little bit
if
worried.
there's really a God up there and he really loves us to the point where
he
took a big trip to go save us.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Definitely had more faith than I did in that situation.
So God, if you but see, like this guy, he doesn't have God. So when these people apostatize from his social religion, this is how he gets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to really hone in on the key difference here between MAGA and the rest of America.
MAGA is half of America. He had 78 million people vote for him, sir. These people are still trying to talk like Trump is some like marginal figure.
I know.
He beat the hell out of your... You had $1.7 billion. You spent so much money in a 107-day period that you're now $20 million in debt.
So crazy. And you wanted to run the country.
And you still lost. Badly.
No. You can't manage a campaign.
Sadaqta.
But you want to run the country? Get out of here.
No. When Elon Musk got snubbed by the Biden administration because they didn't invite him to a photo op, his response was to go out and spend $44 billion to buy a social media platform and to go to war against the entire Republican Party as an act of revenge.
Okay, well, first of all, he made a mistake. He meant the entire Democratic Party. That Elon... So what happened is, there was a... Dude, if I ever get on this show, I'm going to wax the hell out of this dude.
Better be careful, because you'll never get invited. Remember when we did that Hellraiser?
Yeah, but she was a girl. Well, this guy's basically a girl, too. So here's what happened. Biden didn't invite Elon to a photo op, and so because of that, Elon says, I'll show you. I'm going to spend $44 billion and buy Twitter. Ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
No, what happened was he wants to expatriate to America. He's here now. He's embracing his American identity, and it's very, very practical, guy. The practicality of it is he knows that the left is going to take all of his money, and Trump is going to give him a tax break. He also knows, as does the rest of the world, that what happened in 2020, forget about the mysterious 15 million vote delta between 2020 and 2024. Forget about that for a moment, okay? And think about the implications of what would have happened if Twitter and Facebook and CNN and MSNBC did not triangulate with the Biden team to suppress very important information about his fitness for office. Like, for example, on that laptop, we see diary entries from his daughter questioning whether or not it was a good thing to do to shower with her when she was 13, 14 years old and he was a grown-ass man. That is what happened. He did not buy Twitter to go after the Democratic Party, you weirdo. He just cut off one propaganda outlet, and that's the reason a lot of you guys don't remember this. But do you remember the misinformation czar? You remember that?
Yeah, for like a little smidge of time.
Because
right?
what happened was there was some doubt as to whether or not Elon was going to end up being able to do the hostile takeover of Twitter, and then the minute that Elon got Twitter, immediately Joe Biden stood up the disinformation czar. Okay? That's because they understood how they were using Twitter. And my thing is, the fact, as an American, when Elon took over and he fired a whole bunch of people, I was so happy you have no idea. People were like, how could you celebrate that in the middle of a recession? And I said, these people betrayed probably the number one value for most Americans across the board. They took that from us in the middle of a fucking election. Fuck all those people, bro.
And it
Fuck
might
them all.
it might have been the actions of those people that led us into that state in the first place.
Of course!
So.
Of course! Ridiculous. We continue.
And he was able to do this because he was certain that the Democratic Party wouldn't actually threaten his business in retaliation, because the Democratic Party adheres to the rule of law.
The Democratic Party adheres to the rule of law. That's why the guy who authored the fucking crime bill, which has hundreds of thousands of my folks in prison right now, when he was announcing the crime bill, he said, yeah, I understand there's societal issues and things like that we've done to them that push them in that situation. He said, we could talk about that while you're in jail. He's talking about us. That's when he called us predators, and then your friend Hillary Clinton called us super predators, you racist motherfucker. And all you guys were telling me to vote for them people. You are insane. You care about the rule of law. And if you look at him, he really looks like he really believes that. We adhere to the rule of law.
Yeah.
Okay. So where's Hunter Biden then?
Yep.
Where's Hunter Biden? Oh, well, his brother died, blah, 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 blah. Right. And them brothers, they also had issues, too, that you yourself admitted were societally caused. But your answer was, well, we'll deal with that behind bars. That's just one example.
That's true.
Yeah. That's one example.
When the shoe is on the other foot, and it is made abundantly clear to American business leaders like Mark Zuckerberg that the new administration will absolutely come and start their business if they don't get on board, there is no urge for retaliation. There is no acknowledgement that, like, hey, I'm Mark Zuckerberg. I'm worth $200 billion. I am untouchable. And I own a whole bunch of giant platforms. I own Facebook, and I own WhatsApp, and I own Instagram, and I own Threads, and I've even got the metaverse in my back pocket. You want to mess with me? I'm going to mess with you. No, that's not what he does.
These people, they really style themselves as like heroes. It's so weird to me.
Yeah.
It's so weird to me. Like, listen, my anti-Trump friend, you know good and well, you could post about the orange man, you can say whatever you want, nothing's going to happen to you. Nothing has ever happened to any of you. Trump doesn't know who you are. But they really, really believe that they're like, it's like I said about Handmaid's Tale. It's like it's a white woman's fever dream, suburban white woman's fever dream. That if a takeover like that happened, it would be suburban white women that stand up against the man. Like, okay, let's see how that works out. If that was really going to happen, okay. White women know how to suffer like that. But this guy, he's basically saying, if I was Zuckerberg, that's what I would do. And it's not even crossing his mind. Maybe Zuckerberg resented being told what to do with his own fucking company, especially by the Biden administration. Is it possible that he never wanted to do any of that moderating shit in the first fucking place, but you guys are calling him every other day, wielding the power of the U.S. government? That's the other thing, too. It's like, you want this man to say, I'm a billionaire, so I'm going to go up against the U.S. government?
Oh, my gosh.
Do you understand? People don't understand.
I know.
They don't get it.
It's
just like the Gravy Seals over there in Louisiana with fucking 200 pounds overweight talking about, I'm going to get my M4 and I'm going to defend the homestead. Man, shut the fuck up. One APC goes through your little neighborhood outfitted with a 50. That's the end of you and all your friends and all the rest of it. Good night. You can't even go upstairs without fucking breathing your last. But you're going to go up against the U.S. military. It's the same thing here.
There's a certain amount of privilege that allots you delusion.
Yeah. Yeah. It's insane. We continue.
He says, we'll stop the fact-checking, sir. Will that be enough? Oh, you'd like us to put the entire content moderation team in Texas? So you can keep it close? Okay, sure. Yes, sir. Oh, you'd like...
So he can keep a close eye? Trump is hanging out in Texas? Look, Florida is also a tax-free state. We got a lot of people down here in Florida. Trump is in Mar-a-Lago. Why didn't he move it to Florida? Why Texas? Why not go to Florida? If that's what he was doing. And then Trump could really do oversight because that's where he lives. Like, the logic here is crazy to me. What is wrong with these people?
One of your friends on the board? Okay, yeah, sure. The turtle guard here on the part of Mark Zuckerberg is shocking. And it's why Trump and the MAGA guys get away with it.
What are they getting away with? What crime has Trump committed because Mark Zuckerberg is not doing the fact-checking thing? I think they misinterpreted what he said because he said, like, the recent election has told us, and everybody's like, oh, that means that he's talking about Trump. No. What he's saying is this man won the popular vote. That means that the average American doesn't believe in all this fact-checking, free speech, constriction bullshit. That's what it means. It has nothing to do with Trump. It was regular people. Regular people saying, what the fuck? I can't tell you how many times I've reached out to Facebook moderators. What the fuck are you guys doing? Like, what are we talking about here?
Because whatever else you want to say about them, they can smell weakness. And they look at Mark Zuckerberg, they can tell a squealer.
You'll find him and make him squeal. I know the squealers when I see them.
when they look at Mark, good luck, America.
There they go again with the good luck. They literally do this so much where they're like, basically, okay, it's almost like that they resent America for not voting the way that they wanted him to vote or believing the way that they want them to believe. And they resent the fact that the majority can sway the decisions.
Yeah.
And so when they say it, like, they're basically like, there goes again, where he was like, good luck. It's this, you know what, from my ivory tower, I'm not going to suffer, but you guys are going to suffer because of your decisions.
And I love it. The mask came off.
Yeah.
Because as soon as them Latinos did not vote the way they wanted, I hope you guys get deported, you fucking bitch. I mean, Latin people, Latinx, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, look, we used to live in Maine, right? As a black person in Maine, you always know. Doesn't matter how nice some people are to you. Mm-hmm. They got that nigger card in their back pocket. So what happened is these Latinos didn't vote the way they wanted to vote. Good, I can't wait for you to get deported. Black people didn't vote though. Good, I hope there's police brutality. Da 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 da. Like these people truly believe that we are their property. I'm not just talking about black people. This is the class thing as well. They truly believe that we're their property and we're their children. And so now he's talking to us, condescending to his children, saying, I'm your parent, I'm very disappointed in your decision, but you know what? I'm going to let life teach you this lesson. Thank you very much. Let life teach me let the life teach me the lesson then. I will stand and fall out of the words of my own mouth. I don't need you or Zuckerberg or anybody. Mm-hmm. Like, this is America, man. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is America. This is why I was trying to tell people, like, yo, as my trans friends, I love you guys to death. This over censorship y'all are doing is going to backfire. You guys are less than 1% of the fucking population. And now what's happening? Yep. Trans ban just happened with the House in sports. Like, it's over with. Uh-huh. You're less than 1% of the country. Yep. Like, it's sad to watch, but I told you it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. They're going to put us in... They're going to put us in chains. They're going to put us in chains. Art, did you get one of them texts to tell you to report to the plantation?
Jeez, babe.
Hey, I got one of those texts to tell me to report to the plantation. Type 22, because we actually recorded it. We actually recorded somebody telling me to go to the plantation. So if you want to hear that, if you want to see that video...
Type 22.
Type 22. Look, you cannot tell a group of 330 million people who, before they were verbal, were told that they have free speech. And that was the central thing that made our country our country. You cannot tell people who were raised that way, now all of a sudden, you're going to be here to police our speech and think that everybody's going to be cool with it. I keep trying to explain to y'all, just because people didn't say all that shit during the election season, it's because, like, for example, I said, this trans shit, I said, you know who's going to fuck you guys up is these white women. Oh, Vin, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he's like, well, they're not saying anything now. Right, because white women are not socialized to get into conflicts with people. Do you know which demographic votes the most in America? White women. So they talk less and they vote. Young leftist people talk a bunch and don't vote. So I was telling my trans friends, I'm telling y'all, this shit is going overboard. I'll respect your pronouns, but don't try to force anybody else to say your pronouns, because I'm telling you, it's going to snap back. Oh, you got your hand around this woman's neck. I'm telling you, that's not going to end well. And now you got trans bans in sports. And it's just going to keep happening because these white women knew exactly what Trump was going to do with that question. And they don't want to argue with you about how they've been sexually assaulted by men, and so they're completely traumatized. So when a woman shows up in their restroom in their enclosed area with a 5 o'clock shadow, it brings back their PTSD. They're not going to tell you that because they saw what you did with Anna Kasparian. So they're going to shut the fuck up, and they're going to nod like this. They're going to even shed a little tear for you, and then when it's time to vote, they're going to fuck you up in the voting booth. And it happened exactly as I said, dear listener. I don't take any joy in that. I don't take any joy in that. But it is what it is, dear listener. This is a great example of three perceptions. Politics, there seem to be taken very personally here. Issues fight, not personal. Well, unfortunately, we small follow what you got. Big guys doing your kind of campaigning is getting a foothold here. Well, I don't, Europeans are, there are a lot more rules of decorum and things of that nature and being nice and stuff, and I just don't understand it as an American. Like, when you're talking about, like, ultimate issues, like whether or not we should go to war, I think people don't understand, like, the difference between voting as an American versus voting as somebody else. If you vote as an American, what you're doing is directly going to affect the world, and there's going to be blowback for it, and there's no other country like that right now. So I just think there's a lot more at stake for us in our politics than anybody else. Obviously, I'm saying that as an American, but, it's not like the Finlandians have been going around, like, traipsing all over the world, doing all type of shit. And it's not like when something crazy pops off that people look at Finland and says, hey, what are you guys going to do about this? Anytime something happens in the world, it's always America.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot more at stake in our elections. And so that's why it gets a little hectic sometimes. The three perceptions, what you perceive about yourself, what you perceive about what you perceive that others think about you, and one that they miss, what the actual perceptions others. Okay, yep, that makes a lot of sense. Listen, I have no idea why. I don't have knowledge as to why Zuckerberg has made this quote unquote shift. I personally believe that. And he even said it on the Joe Rogan show. He was talking about masculinity. And I personally believe that around the Me Too era, this whole men are horrible, terrible oppressors kind of got crystallized. And then you had the whole toxic masculinity thing, which, by the way, I didn't have a problem with the phrase toxic masculinity. I always took that to mean there is a kind of masculinity that is toxic and bad for the world, and there's a kind of masculinity that is good for the world. So that's how I interpreted it. But your average man in America interpreted it as not toxic masculinity, but that masculinity itself is toxic. That's how a lot of people took it. And the fact of the matter is, the way that some of these people communicate, that seems to be the message. And so when you have people like that, and they don't have, look, my theology is ancient. My belief system is ancient. Okay? So I've already got templates for all of this stuff. So if somebody comes to me and says, being a man is horrible, being a man is this, being a man is that, I don't care what the zeitgeist says. I'm an image bearer of God, right? Like, I represent God on the earth. I don't give a damn what people have to say about me. But if you don't have that, right, ideology to root yourself in, and then the zeitgeist is saying you're bad for being a man. There were millions of men that were just completely exasperated and didn't know what to do, because on the one hand, all the pressures of manhood remain. Protect, provide. That's never changed as far as the expectation. Doesn't matter how progressive the woman is, okay? If you're walking down the street and you see a man beating the hell out of a woman and the boyfriend's standing there and doing nothing, we're going to impose on him, you should have protected her. So on the one hand, men have to deal with all the weight of what being a man is and what it means, but simultaneous to that, they're not being celebrated for their masculinity at all. And I think it really put people into a tailspin and made them more amenable to Trumpism, because it gave them a version of masculinity that they didn't have to be ashamed of. And I think if you look at Zuck's timeline, okay, this guy's the richest guy in the world. One of them. As a kid. He's a kid. He's not even in his 40s yet. Right? And it's like, okay, you've gotten all this success right out of college, but obviously there was something inside of him that was missing. And so getting around those guys and being told it's actually okay that you're a dude, it's okay that you have a switch that can get, it's okay that you can get violent. As a matter of fact, it's good that you can get violent. I could see him rolling around with them dudes and like him having to prove himself, breaking an arm, whatever. I understand dudes like that we just watched don't understand what that means, but it means a lot to dudes, a lot. You know, I'm not going to publish any of the videos, but like both my boys are taller than me now. So when we roll on the ground, like it's real. It's real. Like I'm fighting. And they're fighting. And I beat them their entire lives. So they're giving me everything they got. They're trying to beat me. But there's a certain kind of, after it's all done, there's a bond, there's a respect. There's an affirmation of manhood. I understand it sounds very prehistoric, whatever, but it's when a man gets that ability and says, if somebody came and tried to hurt your family, you could defend them, not only with the gun, but like you could defend them. That's a very good feeling to have as a man. It's very affirming, and there is no space for men who are men on that side of the aisle anymore. And I think it's really telling that the main purveyors of that site, they're all gay. And there's no issue with that, but I'm saying like there's going to be a disconnect and an inability to understand the mindset of the rest of us men. And I'm not saying that every man wants to roll on the floor and get a bloody nose or whatever, you know, pit fighting or cage fighting. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is it is very important for the masculinity of boys and young men to be celebrated and developed and channeled properly. And our country is in a situation where dudes are looking up and saying like this is ridiculous. Because on the one hand, I'm still supposed to protect and provide, but on the other hand, all the traditional benefits of being a man are now gone, and I'm supposed to feel terrible about myself because I like sex and I like violence. What are you gonna do? So yeah, martial arts does change the lives of many people. It changed my life. I had a serious anger problem. Probably, you know, not having a father when I grew up. You know, I had all this athleticism, but I didn't have anywhere to channel it. And so I was an extremely angry kid, and I was starting to get to the point where, you know, Jamaican parents, it's just a lot of corporal punishment, right? Like a lot of you, they'll just beat you. But I got to the point where it just wasn't affecting me. Like I didn't care. And so my mom was like, what are we going to do? So she put me in Taekwondo. And my first lesson in Taekwondo was Sensei Kim, and he said, I don't care what you do outside, but the minute you come in here, yes ma'am, no ma'am, to your mother. I catch you saying anything other than yes ma'am, no ma'am to your mother, it's over for you. That was my first conversation with dude. Okay? But I needed that. I needed that masculine energy to encourage me. Now I'm going to show you, dude, how to channel this energy, channel this anger. I'm going to show you how to win every fight you engage in. I said, great, I want to know that. He said, okay, run. The best way to win a fight is to run. You don't have to fight. Now, again, he wasn't literally being true, but man, he slowed down and he showed me. No disrespect to my biological dad. He was in an unfair situation. But this guy, God brought him into my life, and he stepped in, and he showed me how to manage violence, and he showed me how to protect myself and the people around me. And I'm really grateful for that, and it really helped in my development as a man, and it really helped me understand this is what you're required to do. You see somebody in trouble, and you have the means of protecting them, then you better do it, etc., etc., etc. The left completely lambasted masculinity and replaced it with nothing. I remember it was actually we were doing a live show where we were just asking questions, and somebody asked me about toxic masculinity, and I said, yeah, it doesn't mean that masculinity is toxic. And they're like, no, it really does. They sent me a file, and I looked at the file, and it said one of the harmful behaviors was encouraging boys to take risks. That was harmful for the psychology of a boy, because the boy will jump down the stairs instead of walking down the stairs. And so the guidance was to tell them to walk down the stairs like their sister. And I said, holy shit, okay, this is bad. Because now, even the impulse to try to do something crazy, which is in every boy in varying degrees, that's gone. Okay, well, that's the gene within boys that makes it so when you hear bump in the night, you're getting up first and not your wife, bro. So I think there's a lot of that going on with Zuckerberg. I really, really do. Having a lot of money and all these things is great, but if you don't know what you are and who you are, it doesn't matter. Something's going to be missing. And everybody's talking now about the male loneliness epidemic. Imagine being him. Imagine being him. And there's a sense in which he can't have a regular friendship with me and you because it's like, why does he want to be my friend? I'm a billionaire. Dana White's basically a billionaire. Trump, all these are people that he can trust, that he's going to have a sort of some level starting point where he won't be treated like he's Mark Zuckerberg because all of them are rich and nobody's impressed with him. So I think really that is what's going on with Zuckerberg. I don't think it's because he's terrified that Trump's going to throw him in jail and all the rest of it. I think it's money, and I think it's really just a case of a kid who gets shoved into lockers. All of a sudden, all the cool kids are accepting him, and he earned his way. I guarantee you, dude's got broken arms, broken nose, something where he's got a battle scar that affirmed, okay, like he's one of us. Because that's how dudes get down. And it's kind of weird that he had to do that kind of ritual in his 30s, which most of us go through when they're 15, 16, but it is what it is. The left lean too hard into the LGBT and feminist academic topics. Those subjects have value, not as mainstream models for living. Well, yeah, and it was too broad. It painted with too broad of a brush. And it created a situation where men were immediately classified when you combine that with the Me Too movement, which I also thought was important, but it classified men immediately as predators. And so there's been a lot of male resentment, and people go, well, I mean, you guys are running the world. It's true, men run the world, but that doesn't mean that individually that shit is gonna be helpful to me. If your daughter gets caught up in this in this whatever, and your sons get caught up in it, and there's no frame of reference, you guys aren't operating in the shared reality anymore, of course people are going to respond to that. Of course. One big difference there is how people generally trust their government and lawmakers. Yeah, Americans are almost taught from the womb not to trust the government. I mean, our country was birthed out of our distrust and hatred of government. So that is one of the things about being an American, is that we're not very good about being governed. I don't think people understand this, but like people in other countries, like they're told what to do and they just follow it because that's the leader. Like I don't know how to say it as an American without coming off as massively offensive, but I couldn't really function in a government other than in America, just because of my disposition. We're about to have a major Me Too backlash. I read the filings, and Blake Lively flat out lied about her co-star to rehab her image. It's going to get crazy in the media. Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that it's the same thing that happened with the Kavanaugh thing, where you had two of the women admitted that they made it up and they lied because they were angry about Kavanaugh being nominated and they didn't want him to get elected. So these people went out and lied. Okay, so now when it gets to Pete Hegseth and people are saying, oh, he's been credibly accused, nobody cares. You know why? Because on the one hand, when Biden got Me Too'd right before the election, all the left-wing women shut down Me Too after that. Was it Tara Reid? As soon as Tara Reid came out and said that Biden did all that stuff, then all of a sudden leftist women decided that Me Too wasn't important anymore. So yeah, there's going to be a gigantic Me Too backlash for sure. For sure. A lot of people immediately came after him. He got dropped from his talent agency and all as soon as she made the allegation. He's suing big money over it. Yeah, man. Like, and again, like during the whole Me Too situation, like I was obviously, you know, definitely on the side of the women, yada yada yada. And part of it for me was my own experience. Like I've worked in, you know, organizations are, you know, have their own cultures, but I was very proud that I've never had a a meeting or a counseling or anything about even an accusation against me. So my thing was, I'm a black man in a white dominated area of business that's really highly specialized, and that's never happened with me. And so when I saw the Me Too stuff, I'm like, yeah, man, these dudes are running roughshod on these girls. Good for them. And then it came to me. How does Me Too work with a guy like Emmett Till or Rosewood? See, black people got a different relationship to these issues. If somebody accuses you of sexual assault, you can get on TV and deny it, whatever, and everybody will forget about it if your group decides that you're going to move on. But Michael Vick, to this day, still has to apologize for dog whatever. It's insane. He has the audio proving specific incidents she alleged are fake. Video of her kissing him unscripted on set and flirtation tests from her in the middle of the night. That's what I used to tell people when they made it to the organization. They'd be like, oh man, like they felt like they made, oh, I'm the greatest, blah, blah, blah. I said, man, never, ever, ever respond to this person after this point in time. I told him explicitly, and he didn't listen, and now he's no longer. He did all that work, got himself through selection, everything like that, and he didn't listen. Well, it turned out that girl was an employee, and that was the final part of selection. I probably should have said that, but that was the final part. Because I saw her and how she was acting with folks. I'm like, yo, that's trouble. So dudes, New Jack comes in, blah, 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 and I'd warn him all the time. And every single time they'd be up out of there. Because that was part of the thing. Like, you dudes, like, you got to keep yourself together. We generally believe that the person we vote for has the interests of the people in mind. That's great. I think you could probably make that assumption if you're not in a capitalist context. But you know, it is what it is. I followed the Depp trial, even made a few videos supporting her. My bias is towards women, but if there's more information, I want to... Exactly! My bias is also towards women when they make those accusations, because I know how dudes are, but the evidence has to be key in all of this shit. But anyway, I'm off the rails a little bit, but that's my explanation for Zuck. I think that he, along with a lot of dudes, had a massive identity crisis for the last 10 years. And I think that Dana White, UFC, Republicanism, Trumpism represents a masculinity that people can attain to and that people can feel proud of. And my definition of woke is taking a valid social issue and then stretching it and applying it to credulity. And that's what happened, and this is the backlash that is being experienced. I will say, though, as a note of caution, we should not be happy that Elon Musk is on the phone with our president talking to Zelensky or whoever. We shouldn't be happy about that. How the hell did he get that access? Nobody elected this man as president. Look, if you want Elon Musk to work in your cabinet, great. Let him run for a position and let the American people put him in office. But this whole thing where he's been the most active in politics. Now, granted, Elon did set up the internet stuff for the Ukrainians after the Russians took that out. But this is an unelected individual who has a bunch of money and is always going to be the smartest person in the room. All you weirdos saying that Elon Musk is dumb and all the rest of it, you're playing right into his hands. The man is generally the smartest person in the room, and it's not close. So you can take your emotional copes all you want and say, he's an idiot, he's dumb, blah, 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 Trump's dumb. Okay, these people have dumbed themselves into incalculable power, and they keep doing it and getting the same results. So maybe they're not as dumb as we think they are. Is that possible? All right, guys. Andrew Tate has now lost his final appeal and is about to be looking at 20 years in Romania. He's not about to be raising it. Yeah. And that's my problem. That's the other problem that you have. When you have these extreme, like, anti-male sentiments, it creates a situation where a guy like Andrew Tate now has a lane. And that guy is a pathetic, horrible human being who needs to be put under the prison. But because men were so beaten up, and I gotta say, white dudes, there's not a lot of black Andrew Tate fans, I'm sorry. But Mark Zuckerberg's a white dude. They've been hurt, man. They've been hurt. A lot of toxic masculinity stuff hurt their feelings, bro. And they're not used to being treated that way. We're used to being treated that way. So I didn't care about the toxic masculinity. I said, okay, whatever. But a lot of white dudes are butter soft, man. They never been treated that way. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. You haven't seen Musk play a video game. Smart is questionable. Yeah, like, that's the other thing with him. Like, I get it. Like, he's brilliant. But he's got some pretty obvious kind of flaws, man. Like, he's way too sensitive when people diss him. Like, I'm shocked. Like, you're the richest man in the world. Like, why do you care if somebody's disrespecting you? And why do you need to tell people that you're some, like, crack Diablo player? It's a video game. Like, you're winning at life. This just goes to show you guys, everybody needs God in their life, man. You be the richest man in the world. He's still empty. He still needs something. He still needs something. You saw Zuckerberg, richest man in the world, still needs something. We all need something. And it's not going to get filled up by any of this mumbo jumbo that our world has to offer us. You can only find that in your connection with God through Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian. That's what I believe. Now, look, you can believe whatever you want. But you just got to keep asking yourself, what the hell are all these million and billionaire people? What are they doing? Why are they doing what they're doing? What is motivating them? What is animating them? What is animating these people? And I think if you really, really drill it down, they want a meaning and a purpose in life. And I think when God gifts you with a specific talent, like a Zuckerberg or whoever, and then people tell you that you're horrible for maximizing on that talent and gift God gave you, and that the way that we will accept you is if you start running the company that you built the way that we want it, yeah, it could definitely put you in an existential crisis for sure. And so I think that's what's been going on with a lot of dudes, man. They've been destabilized. They've been unmoored. They don't know what their role is in society. And that crowd gives you a very basic understanding of what it means to be a man in America. Because the leftists tore down manhood and didn't replace it with anything. It's just a fact. The Barbie movie is indicative of the world that a lot of these dudes feel that people are trying to create. And so there's going to be a backlash against that. There's a bunch of people who are very book smart but lack certain social skills. Almost guaranteed. Almost guaranteed. I think that if you're a billionaire, and I'm talking about a self-made billionaire like Zuck, I think that that is a very extremely unique personality profile, and I think people like that have an extremely difficult time relating to other human beings. I've been around some very, very high performers in their area, and all of us were the exact same kind of person. To the point, it's unhealthy, like to the point where to this day, there's nobody on the planet that I feel can really truly understand me. Like at the outside of my wife, there's nobody that gets me other than them dudes that I worked with. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nobody, and that's a giant hole in my life that I left about 5 or 6 years ago that I'm still figuring out how to navigate. So it's when you're a high performer or whatever you want to call it, you're by definition a very lonely person. And I also think there's a lot of that going on. So like there's just a lot of stuff going on here under the surface that leftists can only look at things through this sort of bifurcated lens, without really digging into the nitty gritty of why is this person doing this? Why are they doing this? I think it's unclear in society what's wanted from men. Yeah, Danny, I agree. God is absolutely moving in the country. There's no doubt about that. He has decided to give us another generation. I mean, really, like what I'm seeing, it's so encouraging. It's crazy, especially among young men. But I think Mech is right. Is that the left tore down manhood and didn't erect anything in its place. It basically tore down manhood and then said, "Look, man. I mean, if you end up being a man, you're just by definition useless. And if you're a white cis het man, forget it. We need to you should just leave the country." Well, I don't know, man. I liked my cis het white friends, especially the ones that I was working with. Those are the most virtuous people I've ever seen in my life, ever. And they saved my life on multiple occasions, and they saved other people's lives who didn't even know them. They saved other people and wouldn't take the credit, gave the credit to another government agency. Like, I was working with like the greatest people on the planet, in my opinion. And I missed the fuck out of it. Them. That understanding of like what it takes to get to that level and stay at that level. And the unspoken respect that everybody has to be in that circle, as we used to say, like that's if a man has never had an experience like that, that's why I'm looking at Zucker. I understand a little bit of the logic. It makes a lot of sense to me, and it doesn't seem very political to me. It seems intensely personal to me. So, I just think I think like the solution that leftists are not seeing, it's just go back in a time machine 20 years ago. Just go back 20 years ago and look at how the country was. It's not difficult to figure it out. There's some real basic things that we all agree on together as Americans, and we could start there, and you can recast, because I believe some of these left-wing concerns, like for example, I do not like all this consolidation of money and power and influence around the president. Elon Musk says that we're the media now. It's like, okay, but you're the head of Twitter, the media company, but you're telling us that we're the media, but you're the head. So what that means is the CEO of America's media is lockstep with the president, and that's not the job of the media. So if you're a Republican, that should bother you. Everybody likes the whole we're the media thing. Okay, well, if we're the media, then there needs to be a real sizable distance between Elon Musk and the president then, because if he is too influenced by the president, that's going to shut down what we can say on Twitter. Okay? So I support Elon Musk in it so far as he allows me and my friends and the people that hate me to speak freely about given topics, and we can disagree in the public square. From that vantage point, great. But the idea that we've got some guy unelected that has direct influence to the most powerful man in the world, and there are no controls for this dude because he's not elected, he can't be fired, there's no way that can be a good thing based on what we know about history and human nature. Mm-hmm. Right? So we can't, like, I don't believe any of the nonsense that this dude just said about Elon or Zuckerberg, but at the same time, don't be so up on we're owning the libs, and you miss the fact that human nature hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. Greed hasn't changed, avarice hasn't changed, racism, sexism, none of these isms have ever changed. And we should never trust an unelected person who's in the side pocket of the president. We should never trust that. We should always look at that with skepticism. And since we are the media, you should be looking for things to criticize in the administration because that is the role of the media. And so I hate it when Twitter is in lockstep with the DNC and they're censoring our content and all the rest of it. But I don't want Twitter in the pocket of the RNC, especially with a guy like Musk, who is way too intelligent to be that that naked about how much we're going to suppress speech and prefer one group to another. He's a lot more subtle than all the beasts of the field, and he should not be trusted. If you want to have any sort of trust in Elon Musk, he needs to find a cabinet position and get voted in or get sworn in or something. But this whole thing where he's like freelance and he can do whatever he wants and he gets to be in calls with Zelensky and all the rest of it.
It's kind of weird.
It's not good.
Yeah.
He wasn't born here. We should not trust that. That should be a giant warning. And look, if the right or the new right or the Trump support, I don't know what we're calling people now, but it's got to come from that side, because if it comes from the other side, it's going to come with a whole bunch of legal XYZ mumbo jumbo. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I've done enough psychoanalysis of the big homie. Much love to all you beautiful people. We will be back tomorrow. Rest in peace to the Lions, man. Great season, but subhanAllah, y'all got work today. Y'all didn't come with the A game. All right, guys. I'll see y'all next time. Love your neighbor.
Take care of each other.
Middle America.
We are the media.
We are